Good day, eBic Church family. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great week so far. I have three things for you here in my little update for the week. One is a news item, one is a prayer point, and one of them is an action step. So we'll get right to it. First of all, the news item for you, we have a comeback team. So just this afternoon, for the first time, I had a group of several staff meeting to start planning what it will look like for us to come back together again as a church. So we're doing church online, we're doing church kind of scattered right now, but what will it look like for us to come back and be able to physically be together again? This team is starting to talk about that. Now let me emphasize, we are starting to talk about that. We don't really think that's going to be happening real soon, but there's a lot of things we feel like we should think through and be prepared for before it does happen. So we're just starting the conversation now. And we will announce details for you once those are worked out. But thought you would just find that as a bit of encouraging news today, that we are planning and preparing for coming back together. And we've got a comeback team that'll help us do that. So hope that's an encouragement to you. Second thing is a prayer point. And this is about something that's maybe not as encouraging anyway. I want to encourage you to pray for our government, and specifically to pray for our state government here in Pennsylvania and our local government leaders here in Lancaster County. I'm sure you've seen in the news, there's a little bit of disagreement between them right now about when we should go to yellow in the reopening plan that the governor has developed. And without taking any sides between the two of them, I would just encourage you to pray for them. Pray that they will be able to work together, that they'll have a spirit of cooperation as they come together, and not that they have to agree on every decision or every step that they take, but just that there would be a spirit of cooperation and that they'd be able to work things out without resorting to put downs or name calling or any of those negative kinds of things. Would you just pray for our state and local government leaders to be able to come together and work together for our good? That would be a great thing for you to pray for this week. And then the last thing is just an action step. And the action step I want to suggest to you, I'm going to explain a little bit. It comes out of this book called The Spiritual Disciplines Handbook. And this is a book that I'm referring to. We're doing a series throughout the year this year called Practice Makes Progress, where we're talking about various spiritual practices. And so I'm using this book as a resource when we do that. It talks about a practice called examen, and that's Latin for examination. It means kind of an examination of consciousness, examen. And let me read you just a section about this practice of examen. It says, throughout the centuries, prayerful people have found direction for their lives through the practice of the examen. The examen provides a way of noticing where God shows up in our day. It is a practice that attends to what we might otherwise miss in the press of duties and busyness. The questions of the examen open up our attention to how God's internal movement is present in our external comings and goings. They lead us to listen deeply to the data of our lives. These questions help us pay attention to our mental state, our body responses, and our emotional baggage. Our insomnia, nervous stomach, difficult interaction, and headache can all take their place as a possible way of more deeply leaning into God. The examen helps us recognize the things that bring us death and life. Once these things are known, they become part of our ongoing interaction with God in prayer. And so the examen is basically to just take time. Maybe it's you take time once a week. Maybe you do it a few times a week. Maybe you do it daily. Maybe you do it periodically. But you take some time and you ask yourself certain questions. And really, there's two questions that the examen includes. And I'm going to share these two questions with you, and it's in a couple different forms, and so maybe one form of the two questions will resonate more with you than another. But here are these two questions in several different forms. The two questions are, for what moment today am I most grateful? And for what moment today am I least grateful? Or here's another version. When did I give and receive the most love today? When did I give and receive the least love today? Or how about these? What was the most life-giving part of my day, and what was the most life-thwarting part of my day? When today did I have the deepest sense of connection with God, others, and myself? And when today did I have the least sense of connection? So, in some form, I'd encourage you to ask yourself those questions. Maybe, again, do it once a week or do it a few times. But try to think through your day. Do it at the end of a day is typically where you do it, or at the very beginning of the next one, thinking about the day before. And answer those questions about where you experienced God in the course of your day. And this is something that you can do. It's also something you could introduce your kids to if you have kids or grandkids. The book suggests teaching your children to practice this kind of practice by playing I Spy God, where you encourage them. This is something you could even do at the dinner table, where you encourage them to talk about where they have spied God in the midst of their day. And as you practice that, it helps you to be aware of what's going on inside you and where God is active in the midst of your life. So that's something that would be a great practice for you to try looking in the days ahead. And maybe it's something you'd even want to incorporate regularly, and you'd find it to be a helpful, ongoing kind of practice for your life. So those are my encouragements to you this week. I hope that you're staying safe and healthy and mentally and emotionally well, and that you're seeing God at work in your life. And looking forward to Sunday, we're introducing you to another practice that you can think about this Sunday in the services. And I think it'll be a great Sunday for you. So much grace to you throughout the rest of your week.